Hi, welcome to another episode of the Homicide Canada podcast. I'm here with my co-host and producer, Tami. This is episode 71. This is a special episode. We did some work on some stats from last year that we've collected. So basically, this is kind of a roundup for 2024. We're just going to look at some stats and that. Some of them I think are kind of interesting because we haven't collected them before. We're recording this in November 2025. Probably could have got it out earlier, but I don't know. It took me a while to work on it and that. So, but I think it's still kind of topical on that. And as I said, some of the episodes, or not rather episodes, some of the statistics that we have for this, we haven't had before. So I think it should be interesting. And if you've not listened or aren't familiar with us, like we have a website too, homicidecanada.com. Basically, we try to have like a page for each murder that we can find that happens in Canada. So we're basically tracking them. We have like provincial and municipal pages too. So if you want to look at your city and say you're from Edmonton, you want to figure out how many homicides there are this year and links to the homicides, you can go there, go to our website. It's up at the top. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Twitter or X is homicide_Canada. You can email us at info@homicidecanada.com. So in case we missed a murder, you can hit us up there and go like, hey, you're missing a murder. Because that does happen sometimes, especially small Quebec towns. They're kind of our Achilles heel, I think. So, yeah. All right. So let's get into this. This isn't going to be a long episode, but I don't know. I put this stuff together and I'm like, I'm getting it done. Tami.
Yeah, that's you might as well.
Exactly. All right. So we're going to start out with victim data for 2024. So basically, we found 685 victims in 2024, and that compares to 739 that we found in 2023. So not a huge decrease, but somewhat of a decrease.
Yeah.
And right now, like we're recording this November 27th rather. 2025. Our projected out total for 2025 is 556. So it's interesting that there's a bit of a drop from 2023 to 2024, and then now there's a big drop to 2025. So that's pretty big. So in terms for males, we found 471 versus in 2024 versus 537 in 2023. So decent decrease there, percentage-wise for males. Interestingly, for females, we saw, kind of a increase to 198 from 154. So that's a little weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
That's weird. So some of it can be too. Is like there's some that we don't know the gender of, so it kind of varies a bit from year to year. So that's kind of interesting that, males are down, females are up a fair amount. Okay, so this is something that we did next stats for victims that we haven't really done before, but I did kind of collect them. So in 2024, I have down the minimum age was 0. That's not quite true, but basically it was a pretty young infant. I should have went out and looked at just how young, but I think the youngest age is a very young infant. I'm assuming probably right after birth or something like that. I'm sure there was probably an infanticide.
Yeah.
The oldest victim we found in 2024 was 94 years old.
That's pretty old.
That's pretty old. So, there's not many 94-year-olds out there. Like if you make it a 94, that you're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's kind of sad to make it all the way to 94 and then not make it or get murdered. That's not good.
No.
All right. So the median age for homicide victims we've found was 35.
That's surprising.
Yeah, I would have thought, that's the median age. So half are older, half are younger. But, I would have thought maybe there would be it would skew even a bit younger.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But I guess not. I don't know. Maybe that 94-year-old guy, he's this is the median, not the mean, but still. Okay. Mm-hmm. So interestingly, we also did a bit more of a breakdown. We found 54 homicides were minors, so under 18, and that's basically 9.3% of victims.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, no, it is pretty high. I thought it was higher than I would have thought. And then for the elderly, 65 and older, that's 51 victims, so slightly less than kids, and that's about basically 8.8% of all victims were over 65.
That's also kind of surprising.
Yeah, I don't know who's killing all these old people. I don't know.
That's weird. Okay, so the months in 2024, January there were 50 homicides, February there were 65, March there were 65, April there was 51, May 60, June 61, July 60, August 52, September 71.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's high.
Yeah.
That's really high. October 53, November 45, and December 53. It seems pretty consistent in the numbers there.
Yeah. So I guess, September is the most with 71, and November the least with 45.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
So, it's kind of interesting that, there doesn't seem to be any big pattern here. Just the one thing just seems to be September has a lot of murders. I don't know. And that obviously, there's only there's a lot of it's kind of randomness a bit, I would say. So I don't know. Cause I don't know, sometimes people say more homicides in the summer or something like that, but we're not really seeing that here.
No.
I guess, less homicides in 45 November, November rain. I don't know. People don't want to go out and kill someone during that time. I don't know. So, all right. Let's go on to some next stats. So I'm going to go through the provincial totals and also the rates, I guess. I think, I'm looking at my notes here. Oh, no, Tami's going to do that part. All right. So I'm just going to read the number of homicides per province here and territory. So Ontario, the most populous province, had 251. Then Manitoba was second with 92. Manitoba is definitely not the second most populous province. I can tell you that. Alberta in third with 82, BC in fourth with 78, then Quebec, second most populous province, in fifth with 71, then Saskatchewan with 60, Nova Scotia with 25, New Brunswick with 13, Northwest Territories with 5, Newfoundland with 5, Nunavut had 4, and I think the Yukon and PI didn't have any, I don't think. So.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay,
so here we go with the rates per province. Manitoba had 5.67, Saskatchewan had 4.65, and Saskatchewan's already ahead of that this year, Phil?
Yeah, I think that, they're quite ahead this year, so it's going to be a change at the top this year for the most murderous province in Canada.
Nova Scotia at 2.22.
No, I wouldn't expect Nova Scotia to be in third, but...
No, I think this year might be worse. I don't know. We'll have to look at that. Alberta is 1.58, Ontario 1.46, New Brunswick 1.4. That seems pretty, that's close with Ontario, and there's not a lot of people in New Brunswick, is there?
Yeah, this is per 100,000, so.
British Columbia 1.29, Newfoundland 0.92, Quebec 0.76, and PEI is 0.
All right, So, Manitoba on top this last year, 2024, but it looks like, Saskatchewan's going to take the crown. That we've been tracking it. And I don't think there's enough time left this year, Tami, for Manitoba, unless they had a whole lot of homicides in December for them to take over. So, interesting that I think for the longest time we've been tracking it, it's usually Manitoba. Occasionally Saskatchewan will be on top, but it's always one of those two.
Yeah.
So, one of the prairie provinces. All right. Now we'll go over the municipalities, their homicide rate per 100,000 for 2024. Saskatoon tops 4.85, Winnipeg 4.15 in second, Oshawa, Ontario 2.9. It's interesting. We've been kind of tracking this year. The top three are Regina, Thunder Bay, and Brantford. So things kind of bounce around the amount. Toronto 2.6 in fourth, Edmonton fifth 2.52, Regina 2.35, and they're in sixth, but now they're in first this year. Ottawa 1.99, Vaughan 1.98, Thunder Bay 1.71. So Thunder Bay has moved up a lot this year. Montreal compared to 2024, Montreal 1.7, Brantford 1.67. So they're moving up in 2025. What else do we got here? Halifax 1.59. Hamilton 1.58, Vancouver 1.46, Surrey 1.43, Brampton 1.26, Calgary 1.21, Laval, Quebec 0.87, London, Ontario 0.82, Markham 0.82, the suburb north of Toronto, Windsor, Ontario 0.75, Mississauga, Ontario, right beside Toronto 0.64, and then Quebec City with 0.51 in 2024. So yeah, there's like there's a pretty big difference. Like Quebec only has 0.51 homicides per 100,000 in 2024, whereas Saskatoon at the top has like 4.85. So
Yeah.
pretty close to 10 times higher murder rate there
That's
than
crazy.
than there. So yeah, it's kind of like the one thing is the cities, like there's smaller populations, so they can really bounce around from year to
Yeah.
year. So
And we're going to go over the victim name data. So the most, how would we word this? The most victims with the same name?
yeah, same first name. Yeah.
Okay, so Jordan, we have 6. We don't know if they're male or female.
Yeah. So I think on this list, I think it's the only one that can be both male and female. I think that we have. So I should have took the time, Tammy,
That's okay.
and counted it. But like, yeah, if you're most likely the victim with the most name, or it's Jordan. So in Canada in 2024,
And that's kind of crazy. I don't know. I don't know that many Jordans, but
you know, a couple.
but still, like to be homicide victims.
Yeah.
David, there were 4. Matthew, there were 4. Robert, there were 4.
Those are good Christian names.
Very, very common names. Jason, 3. Jennifer, 3. Dennis, 3. Amanda, 3. Kevin, 3. Christopher, 3. Ibrahim, 3. And Michael, 3.
Oh, that's interesting.
Most of those names are pretty common.
Yeah. So not really that surprising.
No.
Except for Jordan. Like that one.
Yeah, except for Jordan. And last names, we have Singh at 5, Clearwater at 4, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Rick Ramashing, 4.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. I should have looked that up.
That was 4 people in
people
Ottawa,
in
right?
the same family. Yeah, you're probably right. So yeah, Canada, I guess, is small enough that like one major homicide can get you on this list.
Smith, 4. That's surprising because Smith's pretty common.
Yeah, you'd think there would be more.
Yeah. Carr, there were 4. Peters, 4. Walsh, 3. And Bender, 3.
Bender. Okay,
Bender,
that's an interesting last name.
It is.
All right. All right. So now we calculated. So homicide type, we basically classify it into shooting, stabbings, other, and beating. We do the best we can, I think, with those categories, because it can be a bit tricky. All right. So these are the ones we know. So like a lot of them, because I went through and kind of followed up on some of the cases in that and updated some. Because like when it's first reported, often like sometimes we'll know, but sometimes we not. But since like I was looking back at like some early 2024 ones, then some of them had actually kind of gone through a bit of the court process. I think there's probably some plea deals in that where, we actually found out in that.
Yeah.
Because often, you have to wait till you get to court before you find out what happened. I went through and corrected it. So this is also kind of, as I said, like, I guess just trying to explain it, this whole episode is a bit of a snapshot in time, just in the sense that, I went through and updated it. Once this is recorded, there could be more updates on these cases. So I was just trying to do the best I can. Like, I don't know, it's kind of a moving target, but I think it's still interesting to kind of look at it for what you know. So basically, not unsurprisingly, shooting was the most, I guess, popular form of murder in Canada in 2024. We found 197, shooting homicide victims. So that's 49.7% of the total of that we know, the type. Stabbing in second with 124, 31%. Then other with 40 at 10%. And then beating 35 and fourth with 8.8%. So yeah, shooting, of what we know, roughly half. And so, and stabbing up there too. So like, doing this podcast for a while and doing the website, that seems pretty logical, or not so much logical, but it seems like, that's not surprising, I guess. Okay. So this is probably the end. This isn't a long episode, but it's kind of an interesting one. But this is some data that we collected. I think that's kind of interesting that we don't usually have too many statistics on. This is like perpetrator data. And it also is a snapshot in time. So basically we kind of recorded who's been arrested and kind of updated it a bit. So I think the thing is that yeah, like obviously you could wait 20 years and then maybe see like all the court cases are resolved and things like that, and maybe some cold cases, but that's a long time ago, so or will be a long time. So we figured we'd do the best we could. So basically, we looked up all the cases, saw who got arrested, and kind of recorded them for all the homicide victims in 2024. So basically, yeah, we had 685 total homicides we could find, and of those, we could find 607 perpetrators that were arrested. So yeah, that's not a bad amount. So 71% had at least one perpetrator or were arrested. 11% had two or more perpetrators.
Wow.
So yeah, 29% they hadn't found anyone at the time. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Most murders only had one person arrested, but some had more, and like that's two or more because like some murderers had a whole bunch of people arrested.
Yeah.
So admittedly, like later on with plea deals and stuff like that, maybe they, then it gets a bit tricky because like someone is involved in the murder and then I don't know, maybe they plead down to a lesser charge and that, like not even manslaughter. Then I don't know. Do you count them in the statistics as one of the murderers? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's hard to say. So it's kind of a bit of a judgment call. All right. So the youngest male person arrested we could find was 13 years old.
That's crazy.
That's pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
The oldest male perpetrator we found arrested was 81 years old.
Also interesting.
Yeah. So pretty wide range.
Yeah.
The median age for the male perpetrators arrested was 30. So I think I think the average victim's age was 35. So yeah, not surprising that for the people arrested, the killers and that potential killers, like admittedly not all these people were, well actually not many of them were actually convicted, but we're just yeah, it's less by a fair amount. The youngest female perpetrator arrested was 13 as well, so that's pretty young.
Yeah.
Then the oldest female perpetrator was 58, so a lot younger than the oldest male perpetrator at 81. Then also the median age for the female perpetrators was also 30, so it's not really that surprising. Yeah, and so the young offenders, the perpetrators of all those 607 we found, that was 8.2%. So yeah, there's not like, I don't know, people think like young offenders are doing all the murders. No, but they're doing some.
And it's just kind of shocking when they do them.
Yeah, it is. It's always a bit more of a shock when there's a young offender arrested in that. And as the thing is, yeah, it happens sometimes. There's probably too many, I would say, but like, yeah, it's 8.2% if you wanted to know. So yeah, that's kind of, as I said, kind of a snapshot on time, but yeah, I think that's probably, it wouldn't surprise me, bounces around a bit from year to year, but I think that's probably a reasonable number estimate. Yeah, and we also calculated then the number of male perpetrators versus female perpetrators. So we had, and I think this is, so we had 86.3% male perpetrators who were arrested, and then 12.5% female perpetrators. So yeah, not surprising. Like we all know that males are more often the arrested for murder and homicide in general. So not that surprising, but it's still like a little over 10% for female perpetrators in that. So yeah, not really that surprising. So yeah. All right. So yeah, admittedly, this has been a bit of a short episode, but I think like the stats are kind of interesting in that. So yeah, we'll probably do again this next year. And I don't know, we'll probably try to have some more stats. So, all right. Till next time.